Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rose Ed podcast. We are back, and we're back. Yeah,
We're back.
yeah, yeah. Adam, what are we talking about today?
We're doing the transfers. Obviously, it's just finished the January transfer window, so we're just going to talk a little bit about transfers, who we think sort of won the window, maybe what teams we thought should have done a bit more, and then we're going to be talking about Arsenal staying humble as well, just because I think they need to do that.
Absolutely, they do need to stay humble, don't they? Because they are not humble. They are not.
They're
Uh,
far from.
but yeah, let's just have a look at all the transfers that have. I mean, there's nothing really from the big clubs. It's more the smaller clubs. You've done nothing.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to do
Arsenal have
much.
done nothing. Forest have done nothing. Chelsea have done nothing. Man City, on the other hand, but we've already spoken about Man City.
Yeah,
Pretty sure. Obviously, bringing it. Well, I think the ones that we haven't really spoke about is Nico Gonzalez, obviously £50 million, a midfielder. They've been
I didn't
quite.
even realize that happened. That was deadline day,
That
wasn't
was
it? Like right.
deadline day, yeah.
Yeah.
He's only got a transfer value of 16.2 million. But obviously he signed for Porto, not summer just gone, but summer before. Um, been playing for Porto. He's been averaging very, very decent ratings when he's played. Plenty of goal contributions as well. Now I'm looking through it. Um, yeah,
Well, I
fully.
think it just needed legs in midfield, wasn't it? That was what they brought him in for. I
Yeah,
think you'll see him and Marmoush play a lot, whereas the other two young defenders we might not see as much of. But
that's the thing.
what
I feel like you say that. Was it Vitor Reis and Kusa
Khrushchev.
Kusanov?
Yeah,
Kusanov.
Khrushchev.
Kusanov was um, signed from Lens. He's what 20 years old, I think.
Mm,
Yeah, 20 years old. Wasn't expected to do anything this season for Lens, but has come in the side done really well for Lens and obviously earned his
yeah.
transfer. But obviously on his debut against Chelsea, he looked very
It
shoddy.
was rough. Yeah, it wasn't ideal.
Um, but I'm pretty sure he'll do well. Um, he'll do just fine. Obviously, Kyle Walker left on loan
Yeah.
to AC Milan. I think it was always expected that he was going to leave. Apart from that, no one really else has gone. That's any sort of talking point for Man City. Obviously, we spoke about the incomings early in the window for them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nico Gonzalez is.
Actually, they did it nice and early, didn't they? They did.
Yeah, they got most of the deals done, which is good for them, we've seen it now as well. They've picked up a few
Yeah.
points here and there, definitely starting to improve themselves, and hopefully finish the season strong. And they'll definitely do that with the transfer window they've had. Obviously, three players signed before the 23rd of January, and then 3rd of Feb comes around. Deadline day, just need one more player, £50 million. They
Yeah.
spent a lot of money, nearing 200 million.
Yeah, I think there was a stat that we said they spent more this January alone than the whole of the Premier League did last January, which is pretty ridiculous to think. For a team that's about to face like 115 charges, you do wonder how, but I suppose there's more to it than just that, isn't there?
Yeah, I
But
think they kind of needed to as well.
yeah, I
Um,
think they brought the rebuild forward. I think they were going to do it in the summer, but I think they realized that they need to start it a little bit early. So they brought in obviously all young, like the oldest player there is Marmoush, and I think he's only like 25, 26. So that's
I
really good.
mean, for the rest of I mean, I've gone down the table. I'm now at Bournemouth in terms of signings, and they haven't really signed
Mm.
anyone massive. They signed Eli Junior Kropi from Lorient. They signed him for about £10 million, I think it was. But he's gone back on loan to Lorient for the rest of the season. 18-year-old forward player, obviously one for the future for them, but it's been
Yeah.
very, very good for Lorient this season in the Ligue 2. Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he can bring to Bournemouth next season. But obviously, this season has just gone back out on loan. But it shows sort of statement of intent from Bournemouth to sign young quality players that are performing well.
They're
And
planning a bit, yeah. They're planning in case they lose a Semenyo or someone like that in the
yeah,
summer. I think that's what it is, which is good, to be honest, to
I
see
mean, a
some.
side that has been very, very busy is Villa. Obviously,
Yeah,
losing John Duran for 64.1 million to Al
that's
Nassr.
insane. That's just
Um,
that's
Yes,
ridiculous,
it's a
isn't it?
even players have sold. Obviously, Philogene gone to Ipswich. Buendia's gone on loan to Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
Nedeljkovic has gone to, I think it's Leipzig. Illing Jr.'s gone, well, he came back and went to Middlesbrough. Lewis Dobbs has gone to Norwich. in terms of players they've got rid of, but bringing players in, Axel Disasi on loan from Chelsea, bolster the defence. I'm pretty sure he's probably a Diego Carlos
Yeah,
replacement. Marco
that's good. Yeah.
Asensio on loan from PSG.
I've always really liked Asensio. He's just struggled with injuries, but when he plays, like he's
Yeah,
always been quite
when he
good.
gets played, obviously, I mean, I'm looking
Mm.
at his games played here. He's just
But he's not played
been
much
benched
last.
for quite some time. But you know, prior to that, in
I just remember the
November,
goals he used to score at Madrid were just all worldies. Like he never scored a bad goal. Like every goal was just an absolute screamer. Like,
that's it.
and he just struggled with injuries. And then I think when he left from Madrid to PSG, it's sort of again more injuries. And but I think I think it could be a little bit like what happened with Coutinho, a little bit of Villa. He has a good
Yeah,
6 months, and then
and
he
then they
might
sign him
start.
permanently, and he just stinks.
And then yeah, I could see that easily happening again. But I think Rashford's a really interesting
Yeah,
one.
Rashford's. I think that's a move he's needed for a very long time. Uh,
Yeah, I think Man U
and
needed it as well. As they
yeah,
paid like 70 million
I
for this
think he'll
kid.
kick on. I think he'll kick on at Villa. I really do think so. I think Emery's a very good manager, and we'll get the best out of him. But again,
Yeah.
we could see what happened to Coutinho. So
Oh yeah, exactly. And do you think? I personally don't see him staying at Villa, Rashford. I think he's playing now. There's 6 months for a move to Europe. I don't think he wants to stay at
I
Villa.
think it'll be interesting where he ends up come the start of next season, and I don't think that's Man United.
Yeah, I don't think it's Man. I don't think it's Villa.
I
I
think
think
this
he's
low
out.
move sort of the beginning of the end for his time at
Yeah,
Manchester United,
he's just playing
definitely.
out, and I
Yeah,
think it's obviously we'll touch on Man United in a little bit, but the main thing for them is that it's saving them like 5 to 10 million or something on wages
yeah.
because Aston Villa are spending like 70%, which I think comes to about 250K a week. So it's saving them a lot of money, which is good. But I think they're definitely exciting signings for Villa. Like they're good. Obviously, losing Duran, you have that backup option to Watkins, who I think picked up a knock the other day. So having Rashford in, who can play that striker slash left wing role, and then you've still got Bailey, Morgan Rogers, Ramsey, and obviously now Asensio as well. So there's a lot of good talented
Donyell
players.
Marlin, which is one that I was going to.
And yeah, of course, Daniel
Donyell
Marlin's always
Marlin
been on
obviously
there,
signed
so
for 20.8 million from
that's a good
Borussia
sign as
Dortmund
well.
earlier in the window. But that's pretty much everything. Obviously, Andres Garcia as well. But did he not go back out on loan? No, we didn't know to Andres Garcia as well, which I
Yeah,
believe.
they've had a really good window, I think, and
Yeah,
you can't
defense.
turn down that sort of money for Duran. Like as much as I think he's a good player, I think
But I
60 odd
think for
million just
them,
can't.
it's the forward players that they've got. Ollie Watkins, granted, as good as Ollie Watkins is, he is edging to 30 now. 30 years.
Yeah,
I think John Duran. I think they've made a massive mistake letting him go. I think they should have
you
built the
think?
team for next season around John Duran. I
So
really.
apparently, like Emery always said that he was never fully invested in the project and stuff. So it's like, but now you've like, are you willing to build around somebody who's sort of almost already got their head looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess there's always that argument.
But
Uh,
like you said, the age is definitely a factor. So if you'd, yeah, but then would they have wanted to have sold Watkins to Arsenal, like a
an
rival a little
actual
bit?
rival, yeah.
That's the thing.
It
That's
does beg to question. But yeah, I just think I think John Duran going to Saudi this early in in his career is. You know, he could have been one of the world's best strikers, realistically. So he was what, 19, 20
20,
years of
20,
age?
yeah, I think so. I think it'll be weird because yes, you can go for like 3 years, earn a lot of money, but like it's 3 years of development. That
Yeah,
so it's
that he's
not
going to
like
miss out on.
I
Obviously,
don't
the
doubt
great.
at 24 someone will buy him in Europe. I'm fairly
Well,
certain
even
that
next summer, you never know. You might
exactly. You've got to
like
give
out.
him almost like another year to make up for the year he's going to lose in Saudi. Like is getting back into the level of European football, which I think is a little bit sad to sort of see someone like that go, but. I suppose that's what they're doing now. They're trying to get these young players because they know the likes of Ronaldo won't be around forever, so they need someone to
Yeah.
go and see. So,
I mean,
but
Fulham have had a pretty boring window. Just signed Willian on deadline day as a free agent.
back again, yeah,
Nothing in that.
yeah.
Brighton, have they done anything? They've done a fair bit, I'd say. Um, yeah, I think they've had a very busy window. Diego Gomez from Inter Miami, I think it is,
Hmm.
for £10.8 million, a midfielder, Paraguay international. They do like their sort of South Americans, don't they?
Yeah,
Um, they then got Carl Rushworth back on loan. I just want to see if he's gone back on loan. He hasn't. So Carl Rushworth's back, a good goalkeeper at championship level. Never really got minutes at Hull, which I'm quite weirded out by. the only time he did play was against Millwall, kept a clean sheet. Um, Done really well, but obviously he's been recalled. Aaron Cashin from Derby County for 9 million, one of the better centre halves in the Championship. I'm a massive fan of Aaron Cashin. I've wanted Norwich to get their hands on him for a very, very long time, but just never did. And then started Stefanos Zimas from I think Nuremberg.
He's apparently quite highly rated.
Very highly, yeah. Obviously gone back out on loan to Nuremberg for the remainder of the season. But he is very highly rated. He's what 19 years of old, 19 years of age, forward player.
Obviously, they got rid of Ferguson, hasn't he? He's gone to West
Yeah,
Ham.
Ferguson's gone out on loan. Barco's gone on loan to Strasbourg, and Cisso's obviously at Ipswich. Yakamoda's gone to Feyenoord. Rari McConville's signed for Norwich. Um, yeah, obviously, I think they've let players, they've gone to get players out to develop them because we know the player that Evan Ferguson can be. We know the player that Julio and Enciso can
Mm.
be. They just need to get guaranteed minutes. Uh,
Injuries have killed him. Like his
Injury,
record, like
especially with Ferguson, have absolutely
yeah, we
hindered.
were there a couple of years ago saying he's 100 mil, and he probably was at that point.
I'm pretty sure we said that on
Yeah,
one of
we
the
did. But
on this podcast.
since then, it's just he's had so many injuries,
Love
and
it,
like he's
yeah.
getting kept out of the team by like a 34-year-old Danny Welbeck or something. However
Put
old
some
he is.
respect on Danny Welbeck's
Do
name.
you know what I mean? That was the point where like I think he scored a hat trick for Ferguson against Newcastle, and then he just never really kicked on from there.
Yeah.
Like he just the injuries have just slaughtered him, to be honest. And I think
Yeah.
if he can get some, I think West Ham will definitely play a lot, which is good for him. And obviously he's with Graham Potter, who trusts him already, so you'd expect him to get a good amount of game time, and hopefully he can get back into form and sort of
But yeah,
show what he's
definitely.
about.
Do think it's a very good window for Brighton, though, in terms of making sure that their players are developing. Obviously, they're very known for producing.
Always planning ahead. They're
Yeah,
so good at that. I think they're really well
yeah,
run. Like you said, they
uh,
brought in a
yeah.
Paraguayan player that yes, when okay, you might have watched the odd Inter Miami game, you often just watch Messi, but like the fact they're even like they're getting someone from there, which is all arguably a bit of a risk buying someone from there, and you just know he's just going to turn out good. Like you just already know it with them, with the fact they bought
Exactly.
the likes of Carlos Baleba, Moises Caicedo, Alexis McAllister, these players from South America and America, and then they all turn out to be really good players. So
Serious players, aren't they?
you just never
Um,
doubt their sort of scouting
yeah.
at all.
We'll go on to Brentford. Michael Kayode signed on loan from Fiorentina, worth £14.6 million as a player, 20 years of age, defensive player. I think I don't know if he's a centre back or a full back. Um, yeah, he's more of a like a right back, I think. So I feel like they have been needing a full back for a while. I think Rico Henry's obviously always
I
in.
think they let go of Roselev, didn't they? And they brought him in
Yeah,
as pretty much a direct replacement. So again, just for Brentford, it was mainly the thing they kept Vesta, they kept Mbeumo, and that
yeah.
was it for
Rusev's
them.
gone on loan to Wolfsburg, which is a good, interesting move.
I think for a lot of these teams, it's just about keeping their top players.
Yeah,
I
and
think they've
it's
done well to
not
do that.
making sure that they replace him. They definitely have with Michael Coyote, and
Yeah,
will
so they've
probably
done well. They've got again
maybe sign
another
him
well
permanently
role
as
as
well.
well. So
Um, in terms of, we'll go on to Crystal Palace now. They've had an interesting window. No one really leaving of big name. Jeffrey Schlupp and Rob Holding both going out on loan. Trevor Chalobah, obviously his loan ended. He's gone
yeah,
back to Chelsea since. But in terms of player incomings, I don't think it's an awful window for them. Roman Esse of Millwall, a very, very talented young player, has been doing
yeah.
very good things in the Championship. 11.8 million. And they're signing Ben Chilwell on loan, which I think is a very good signing. Ben Chilwell's obviously, we know he's a very good left back, just hasn't really worked
I've
out
seen it for
at
like three
Chelsea.
years. Yeah, that's all
Um,
with him.
yeah, I think he'll do well. We'll add a bit of competition for Tyreek Mitchell.
Mm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But I think just a very good, a very average window for Palace. No
Again,
major
it's
players leaving
I
like
think
Eze or Mateta. Uh,
yeah.
Managed to
Well,
keep hold of it.
Gahey was obviously looked at going, wasn't he? That
Yeah, Gay
Spurs
as
have been
well,
rejected,
and
which I'm
and
sure we'll
and
touch
they've
on some of
invested as well with Roman Esse. I think he's going to be sort of the
that.
next Elise as well. So, um, yeah, no, I think Palace have had a very solid window to keep hold of their better
Yeah.
players. Man United, obviously, we spoke about Marcus Rashford.
I think they've had a bad window, and you look at it. I think
Yeah,
don't get me
Anthony's
wrong,
gone.
Anthony and Rashford needed to go, but the fact they didn't
Malacia.
get any forward in to like sort of replace them, is a bit weird.
Yeah, they signed in Patrick Dorgu from where did he come?
Lecce. Yeah,
Lecce.
he's a
Yeah,
fullback. I think he's played a bit on the wing as well at Lecce, but so he's almost a Dallo, I think, replacement, even though Dallo's not got him, but so
came
which
from
is a good
Nordsjælland
start.
Academy as well, which is one of
Obviously
the
they
best
brought
academies
in
in Europe.
yeah, they brought in is it Haven or Heaven from Arsenal's academy or Chelsea's academy to as a as a young centre back into the first team as well. But I think they've left themselves very weak up front. Like they have two strikers in Xerxes and Hoyland who have been very hit or miss
That's the
already.
only two strikers they've got. And you got
Yeah, and then
Garnacho,
you've got
Diallo.
one right winger and one left winger,
That's it.
Garnacho and
Yeah, you are
Rodri.
right there. And obviously Fernandez is a 10 as well.
So I think it's a lot now. You've suddenly gone okay, and they're still in Europe. I can't think it's
But
Europa
they're
League, I think it is.
13th in the Premier League, and
But like they're still in the FA Cup, and you think they've got a few competitions to play in, and they've very thinned out their squad. I think the Rashford one had to go, yes, and like the two players had to go. I agree, but maybe they should have looked at a loan of an Asensio or someone like that. I think,
Hmm. No, definitely
but
agree.
it's a bit weird that they sort of were happy just to accept no forwards. Or I'm sure as we'll probably move on now to like Spurs, Matthias Tell could have easily gone and been that player for them who can play a bit off the left, the striker, playing behind the striker. Like he's very versatile.
Yeah, we will move on to Spurs.
Spurs got him in the end on loan, which was a bit weird after he'd rejected him, but he's gone there on loan, so
I
I
think
don't
Spurs
see.
have had a very good window. I think they've brought in players in positions that they need. A goalkeeper in Antonin Kinski from Slavia
Mhm.
Prague. I think he'll be a great number two, and they haven't got to worry about Fraser Forster anymore.
Yeah,
Um, Kevin Danzo on loan from Lens, which is really weird. Lens have sold their two best centre backs this window.
yeah.
Obviously Kusanov and Danzo. But Kevin Danzo's a player that I've really liked for many years now. I think he's a great centre half, worth 24 million, 26 years of age. Very decent player. And
And they've had so many injuries at centre back. Like Van der Ven's out again, Romero's still out. So they just need someone who like poor Archie Gray. He's been really good there, I think, in my opinion. But you need to get him in that midfield for the legs in midfield.
well, at least at right back, because that's where he's or
Yeah,
full back where
so
he
at
can
least they're
play.
starting to get him further away from centre back. So it's a good move, and I think Matthias Tell's again another good option to obviously with Solanke out, Richarlison's just back from injury. Son's a bit off it. He can play anywhere sort of across the front three. Might play out on the right. Um, I think it's a good sign. I think they would have liked a midfield as well if you'd have
It's the
asked
only thing
Spurs
with
fans.
Tell though. He hasn't scored since a friendly in August.
He has been poor this season. That's why Bayern they've played very little
Got a
minutes.
few goal contributions here and there for Bayern
Yeah,
last
he's not
season.
been.
He's not prolific, but a bit of competition for Solanke. Richarlison's still there. I think there was rumours of him leaving, but I think they've got good options going forward. They just
When
again,
they're all fit, that's
and
their biggest
that's the thing.
problem. It is injuries. It just is.
Um,
That's
but I
what
think
it is.
they've had a solid window in terms of that.
Yeah.
We'll move on to West Ham. James Ward-Prowse coming back from his loan at Forest didn't really get much game time at Forest. I didn't understand that move to begin with. I think
Yeah, it was a weird one from the beginning.
Evan Ferguson's obviously come on loan. I think that's good for them. And no outgoings really, apart from Maxwell Cornet, who came back from Southampton and has gone to Genoa, but that's nothing. I think just
Forget he's even there.
got a midfielder basically in more
Mm,
proud. Got a striker in Evan Ferguson, which they need. But Evan Ferguson is, as we know, is injury prone. Uh,
mm.
but they definitely did need a striker because Fulkrug has not turned out to be the signing I hoped he would be.
Yeah,
Everton, Carlos Alcaraz, obviously formerly, I think he was at Southampton, not
yeah, a couple of
yeah,
years
he was
ago
at
at
Southampton not
Southampton.
too long ago. Went to Juventus on loan, then went to Flamengo, and then signed for Everton.
That is a weird transfer history, isn't it? That is
Yeah, it's
crazy.
weird. He sort of had enough and went to Italy. He had enough at Italy. Went to Brazil, and he's like,
That
nah,
is
fuck
very
it.
weird, sort of like, yeah.
But that's the only real thing that happened for Everton this whole window. I think a good midfielder in the Premier League. He is
Yeah.
Alcaraz. He was very decent for Southampton. Decent
So I
side,
think there's
I guess.
been a lot of clubs that sort of haven't done anything of value. Like obviously look at Liverpool, Arsenal haven't done anything, but Chelsea haven't done much either. And you think that's January is a very awkward window.
January's an awful time of year for
Yeah, it's
big
very
clubs.
hard to get the players you
If
want.
you if you try keep hold of your big players, that's when your big players are at their priciest.
Mm,
I mean, if a player leaves, it's for big money. Look at John Duran. He's probably not a 64 million pound player. He's probably
no.
about 40 to 50 maybe. But
Yeah.
because it's a 1 month window, you've still got half the season to play.
You just can't replace him in time. So,
Yeah, and they're replacing with Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio, haven't they? I
so I
think.
do think they'd have accepted that offer for Watkins in if it had come in the summer for that
Oh
60
yeah,
million as well. I think he'd have been gone. But you can't expect him to get a striker in within like by that point it was like a couple days of the window, like 4 days maybe. And everyone knowing that you've got 120 mil to spend, every player that's now should have been worth that 50 is now gone worth to 80, 85, 90. So I think all the prices are just like sort of exploded, and it's just so I wasn't too disappointed with Liverpool not buying anyone. I think
yeah.
it's just sort of you always like to
At least
get
you haven't sold anyone. I think that's the main
yeah,
thing for
like
for clubs in
I'd
the
like
Premier
to have
League. It's
said
not. Yeah, you can
I'd
sign
like a
players.
backup, but I'm
You can
not
sign
gonna
players and
like
be great. Like look at Man City. They've signed
yeah.
some very good players, and it's a really good window for them. Probably have the best window out of the Premier League.
Hmm.
However, they haven't really lost anyone big, so it's a big plus for them. But you look at other clubs, like you say Villa, that have lost big players. Um,
They've had to do more
it's a real
because
struggle to replace them, isn't it? 'Cause then
yeah.
the players that they're trying to replace them with are also going to be costing them big amounts of money that probably wouldn't be so much in the summer.
I think for me, someone who's had probably one of the worst windows, or not worse is a bit drastic, but I really expected more from Arsenal. I thought they would have done
Oh
more.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, they've done. I think they've done absolutely nothing this window.
they
Didn't
did nothing. All that happened is that Marquinhos came back from loan and then got loaned out again. But I think
they?
with
That is
the
the same Marquinhos as that was at Norwich. Fucking
this,
awful footballer.
yeah, the same like it's just with all the injury problems they got. I know Martinelli came off injured last night or the night before. Obviously no Saka at the moment. Jesus is out injured. Do you think they're desperate for a forward player? And this was before the Martinelli injury because,
This is before like the start of the season.
yeah, just anyone to have played across the front lines, like Marlon would have been good. I just wonder when Villa are getting Donny on Marlon for 20 million, you're like, where are Arsenal? Why are they not putting a bid in for him? Like he's someone that could play across all the three of the front line, just bring in some numbers. And I think that's what has left them a little bit exposed up in the front areas because they just don't have the cover. Like I don't even know when Saka's meant to be back. I still think it's a good month or so.
Yeah.
So it's asking a lot to obviously put all the pressure now on Havertz with no Martinelli as well. I don't know how long he's out for, but I think it's just I don't know that was a bit of a worry for not as I don't really care about Arsenal, but if I was an Arsenal fan, I think I would have been a bit
Uh,
disappointed that
oh yeah. I mean, you've seen in all the interviews
a
they
couple
are
of days before
massively
the
they're
window
fuming.
suddenly
Um,
splashing 50, 60 mil on Watkins for it to get rejected. You think, where was that in the 1st of and 2nd of Jan? If they'd have done that bid maybe a bit earlier, he probably is an
Oh,
Arsenal
yeah, it might
player
have been
right now.
accepted, definitely. We'll move
Mm.
on to Wolves, who I think have had a very decent window. Emmanuel Agbadou signed from Stade Reims. Nasser Jigger signed from Red Star Belgrade. And Marshall Munetsi signed from Stade Reims. All very, very decent players. Obviously, Stade Reims aren't, they're a solid French club now. Yeah, I think, not splashing out any massive money, about 45 million, nearing 50 million. It's good for Wolves. They need to improve. They've lost. Obviously, Mario Lemina's gone to Galatasaray. Um, that's really it in terms of player leaving. But they seem to have replaced him with. I think it was Manetzi, who I believe is the midfielder that they've signed. Yeah, Manetzi. Um,
Obviously, Mateus Cunha signed a new contract as well, which I think is a
yeah,
big one.
I think that's probably the biggest signing for them this summer.
Yeah, there's probably clauses in it. I wouldn't say it's all
Yeah, there's got to be
good
something.
news. He's probably
Um,
still gone in the summer, maybe, but
yeah,
it's definitely good news for now. You don't have to worry about that, which was good for them, I think. Um,
we'll move
Yeah,
to
I think
Leicester.
overall a lot of teams have been just overall relatively quiet. I think
But I
really
think
not.
it's the teams down the bottom that have been busy, apart from Leicester, who are now about to get on to. The only player they brought in is Woyo Koulibaly for 2.5 million from, I think that's Parma that they've signed him from. Yeah, Parma. And have sold absolutely no. I mean, that's it. Yeah. Tom Cannon, who wasn't even there to begin with, he was at Stoke half season, came back and sold to Sheffield United. So they made money off him, about 10 million.
Yeah,
But that's not great for Ipswich. Have actually had a very decent window in my eyes. They've brought in Alex Palmer, a goalkeeper who they massively needed a goalkeeper, Alex Palmer's a
Yeah.
very good established goalkeeper at Championship level. Can he make the step up to Premier League? We do not know. However, like they needed the goalkeeper. Muric is not a Premier
Mm.
League level goalkeeper. He could have told Ipswich fans that at the start of the season. They've got Ben Godfrey in on loan at the start of the season. Philogene come in, Julio and Ciso. I think four very, very good players that they've needed. Defensively, in the midfield, in the forward areas, and in goalkeeper, just improving their all-round game in a bid to obviously stay up this season. In terms of players leaving, Harry Clark's gone on loan to Sheffield United, probably the worst defender I've ever seen in the Premier League. Ali Hamadi, he's gone to Stoke on loan. Also, one of the worst strikers I've ever seen in the Premier League. How he's even been getting minutes is beyond me. He's woeful. I'm very surprised to see him get a championship level loan. Genuinely very. He scored on his debut for Stoke as well, which is laughable. But yeah, he's awful. But apart from that, for Ipswich, not got rid of anyone big. Delap's still there. They're a key player. Um,
They're
and
just
they've
sort of building for next season, probably, which will be back in the Championship. They bought players that have done it in the Championship with Philogene, so they sort of know what they're hoping just to go up and then maybe come straight back up again. But it's always a lot difficult to do that.
I mean, Southampton haven't had an awful transfer window. Brought in Wellington from Sao Paulo on a free. Don't know how good he is, but his name's Wellington and he's Brazilian, so he's bound to be a little bit techie. You know what I mean?
You think,
Um,
yeah, there's something going, but yeah.
Joachim Kaya Sunder from Valenciennes in I think League 2. I think they're in. I just want to have a look. No, they're not even in League 2. They're in. I think they're in the third division of
Where
France.
do they find these players?
For 4 point something million, which
Yeah.
I mean, that level of football is probably the same as National League, which I think is quite funny. And Albert Grombank from Stad Rennes, sorry, on loan, which is actually a good signing. He's worth 13.2 million, 23 years old, Danish midfielder. Bit more midfield options. I mean, they're not staying up. Obviously, Adam Armstrong's left on loan. Bazunu's left on loan. Brereton Diaz has gone on loan. Yeah, just it's just a really like it's a transfer that you expect from a side bottom of the league. You sign a big loan player in a bid to somehow do something
A
and
miracle,
sign
yeah.
some
Mm,
fucking nobodies that could be
yeah,
somebody's one day, pretty
yeah.
much. But Adam, as we've only got about 9 minutes left of the pod. Should we just talk about the humbling that Arsenal need
Yeah.
and have had?
I think I think everyone went a bit over the top with the hate a little bit. I think Lewis Skelly was fine. I didn't mind the celebration. That was kind of funny. And like he got one back. That's cool, yeah.
Yeah,
As you
but
already
that's fine. But
yeah, that's one for one
it's the
fun.
fans' reaction. The whole thing of staying humble.
Yeah.
The fact that Arsenal haven't won anything for some time now.
Yeah.
Man City have won, what is it, 4 Premier Leagues in the bounce, the Champions League in
A
there,
treble in there as well. Yeah.
treble, Centurions,
Yeah.
FA Cups, League Cups.
Mm.
Um,
Everything.
Obviously, Arsenal have gone invincible, but I was still
Oh, but
shitting
not
myself
this
when they were.
Arsenal. So
I was
they're
still
not
shitting
selling. Yeah.
my nappies when they went invincible. So
Yeah. That's it. And it's not like current Arsenal, so they can't even really
yeah,
use. I think
I
it
think
was all like as you said, it was the
it's
stuff
about
after.
them being Arsenal fans
Yeah.
being so self-entitled. Um, yes, they beat City 5-1. Um,
Great result. Yeah. But
Brilliant performance, great result. And you're thinking,
yeah,
okay, build on it. If you know
yeah.
if you're that good, build
Go
on
and
it.
win the Prem. Go and win the Champions League. Go and win something. But
Go and win the League Cup. You're only 2-0 down to Newcastle. It's a Newcastle side that
it's no. I think that was always
eight
going to
9 years
be
ago we're in the Championship. Um,
it's a very different Newcastle team now, isn't
Very
it? Like
different Newcastle team.
obviously that finished 4-0 on aggregate, which was a bit resounding in the end. And obviously you had Anthony Gordon saying they've got to stay humble as well, which was quite funny in the end. But I think it could be another season very easily without any silverware for
I,
Arsenal very
I
quickly.
don't see them. They have the FA Cup. They are,
Yeah,
aren't
United beat
they?
them,
They
didn't
are.
they? Yeah.
So they can't
So
win
it's
the FA
just
Cup. They're in
it's
the
just one more
Champions League, but they're
Champions
not going to
League.
win the Champions League. They don't, especially the injuries they've got. They're not winning the Premier League.
But that's the thing.
There's
If
no
you're saying the
silverware
most
for
likely
Arsenal.
chance is at winning the Prem, and they're 6 points behind us,
I think,
that says a lot about what you expect from them this season based on what to win. And I think it
I think
is
it's
just,
their best chance of winning the Premier League has been this season.
and they've still not, well, they hopefully still won't do it. But it's, yeah, it's a weird one because I get some fans will always take it a bit far, but you must sit there and think, at the end of the day, you're still 6 points behind us. If we win, we're 9 points ahead. So it's not actually really changed much.
Yeah.
You should be beating City. City have been poor this season. We beat them 2-0 at home, but it was one of the most comfortable 2-0s I've ever seen.
I mean, granted, yeah, 5-1's a brilliant result, brilliant
Yeah,
performance. But the
yeah,
whole point of
not
staying
taken away from it.
humble isn't
But it's all the
isn't
stuff afterwards, playing the song up by Kendrick Lamar, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, just it must almost be laughable a little bit when you're sort of the opposition a little
yeah,
bit.
staying humble things is, know what you like. Arsenal, you know what they are. They're
Mm,
not Premier League champions. They haven't won any silverware in a while.
yeah,
They're not at the level Man City are. Granted, Man City are having a massive off season, but believe
yeah.
me, next season they'll be back.
But you'd still argue maybe City will do a lot to beat Real Madrid, but like if City somehow do get through there, I could somehow see City getting further in the Champions League than Arsenal, just because City have now done it and they've got Pep and they've got more winners, I think, in that team. Their attacks are so good, but Arsenal's defense is really good. So, although I will say I haven't seen Saliba and Gabriel look as rough as they did, apart from last night against Alexander Isak, who was absolutely running them right all game long. Don't know if you saw, but even without scoring a goal, he got man of the match and just absolutely destroyed them across both legs. To be honest, he absolutely dominated them, and it was obviously big credit to Newcastle. They just outworked him, to be honest. But it just shows how much of a like difference a striker can make, like a top world class striker, which Isak is. But
Exactly. And
yeah, it's
Newcastle are fully
definitely
deserving to be in the Carabao Cup final, and hopefully this time they can actually win it, which I think they can. I think they can beat Liverpool if Liverpool get through. They can beat Spurs and Spurs get through. I think
yeah.
if
I think
Liverpool
they'll
get
both be
through,
really good games,
yeah, I
regardless.
think if Liverpool get through, I think Liverpool will be favourites. But I think if Spurs do beat you, Newcastle will be favourites.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they're both, and obviously you saw it in the season, Liverpool 3-0 away at Newcastle. So I think that'd be a really good final, obviously, with
Mm.
Newcastle wanting
But
to
you
end
haven't won
it.
it yet. I mean, I know you're at home tonight, but Spurs, believe me, will stick 11 men behind the ball tonight, and I think you're gonna be worked very hard.
Yeah, no, it'd be a tough game, I think, for sure. But yeah,
Definitely, definitely.
hopefully we'll do.
But we'll wrap up the podcast there. Thank you everyone for listening and watching and all sorts, and we'll see you next time.